And welcome back. It's time for our Capitol Report with CapitolBeatOK.com's Pat McGuigan. And Pat, obviously the Capitol, a very busy place these days. Let's talk about the phase out of the income tax. You've been following this proposal by the governor since it first hit the floor, so to speak. And what happened in the legislature this week? What movement was there this week?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, what happens is what actually passes, of course, and then is enacted into law, and it's moving from the realm of conservative-libertarian theory to actual proposals. Two measures passed in the House that are close, not identical, but close to what the governor has outlined. Similarly, one measure in the Senate. When I say in the House, I mean in the committee process. They're not yet at the before the full chamber. There was a fourth measure kind of off to the side that 2 years ago would have seemed dramatic, and that was one to cut another 0.5% from the existing state income tax levy. So there's 4 items floating around. Real soon, the Speaker is going to introduce the final version of the governor's actual proposal. So what 4 out of the 5 things I just sketched have in common is the desire to, over time, phase out the income tax, varying from as short a time frame as 10 years to an indeterminate time that would be based on triggers of income levels.
So what should we expect in the future? Are some of these other ones going to fall off to the wayside? How's it going to play out?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's a process, and the governor has even referred to that. She'll have discussions with negotiations with members of the legislature, and some of them want kind of a pure proposal. A few want something less dramatic than even what the governor wants. We're probably going to get something in between. I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty similar to what the governor outlined in the first place. Looking to the future, I expect this debate to begin to intensify. I'm not sure opponents can stop the income tax cut and can stop the beginning of a phase out. But the scrutiny is intensifying, and there's almost an air of panic in some ways in some of the rhetoric against the proposal, because it's such a fundamental challenge to what is.
Let's talk about the funding that the legislatures had to spend. The Board of Equalization this week approved an increase, or certified an increase in the amount of money. I believe is it $47 million in that order?
At the end of the day, how it comes out is that you have $6.6 billion almost in appropriated funds. That doesn't count the other 10 or 11 billion that comes from other directions and is available for spending. This is what the legislature will actually appropriate. It's actually $168 million more in government revenue, which is a 2.6% increase, but only $47 million in net increase in spending. I could go, there's convoluted reasons for that, but that $47 million is the actual increase in revenue available to be spent.
And Governor Fallin has a very clear idea of what she wants to do with this.
She wants to use it to start the income tax reductions. Certainly there are alternative ideas. There's people that want to basically fill back in what's been nipped and tucked here and there in appropriations, not the overall size of government, but in appropriations. They want to fill that back in. And at the end of the day, you're really coming down to, there are other ideas on how to use that money, and you're really coming down to kind of a fundamental difference of opinion about the role of government. I don't want to be too philosophical, but let me project something here, which is that we didn't even have an income tax until the 20th century at the federal level in America. And what's being proposed here is to take things back in a direction that's a future. It's not resetting the clock, or I should say not turning the clock back. It's resetting the clock to a different set of expectations and time frame. This is a very important debate. And right now, I think the governor and allies have the advantage, but we still have a debate ahead of us.
On a lighter note, Oklahoma City Gridiron, the show is underway. You're in it. Yeah. For people who don't know, what is it, and how can they still get tickets?
We're almost out of time, so I'll say there's my Gridiron pin. Ticketstorm.com, or just walk up to the door on 16th Street down in the Plaza District in Oklahoma City. Gridiron is an annual parody that people in our profession do: television, radio, print, online, all arenas of media and news reporting, due to poke fun at politics primarily, but also to some extent the culture. It's a lot of fun. This year we have a Hee Haw theme, and I'll just hint that based on some things that have been in the news lately, there is a scene with a Dolly Parton character, if that can give you a hint. Okay, that's it. Ticketstorm.com, 16th Street. Come see the Gridiron Saturday night, our last performance at 7:30.
And read more about all these topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great day.